Hi there and welcome to another PSD Tuts screencast Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele and today I'm going to be taking you through Alvaro's Dirty Stains tutorial, and we're going to be creating this final image down at the bottom. Now hopefully this should be a nice quick screencast, just taking you through setting up the image so that we can apply it to a texture, playing around with some brushes, some stains, and really trying to make it really look like it's actually coming through the material or it's been there for a while. I'm just trying to make it look real. So check out all the steps over at the website. Don't forget to check out all our other video tutorials over at PSD psd.tutsplus.com, and all of the images that we're going to be using are linked to in the tutorial. So again, check all of those out, all of the brushes, some links to where some of the brushes were first found, and other tutorials where they've been used. So do check out all of those links, and let's get started with today's tutorial. So as I said, this is the final image. It looks really nice, so hopefully we should be able to do this fairly quickly. Load up Photoshop. I've already loaded up the picture of the girl and I've labeled that layer girl, and we're going to add a new fill layer and we're going to move it below our girl layer. So head up to layer, new fill layer, solid color, and then we're going to set that color to F6 EDD 6. Click on OK, and we're just going to drag that straight below our girl layer. Then we're going to convert our girl layer into black and white. So we're going to add a channel mixer. So we're going to go layer, new layer adjustment, and we're going to go to our channel mixer, and we're going to set it to black and white but with a blue filter. And that's just going to add a little bit more detail to some of those darker areas and a bit more contrast. So leave all the settings as they are for the channels. Click on OK, and then once you've done that, we're going to merge those two together. So just going to select the two, Command D on a Mac, Control E, should merge those layers together. Let's just quickly rename that girl again and click on OK. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the burn tool and we're going to darken some of these areas. So I'll just zoom in just a little bit. And we're going to start with the eyes. We're going to do the eyebrows and the eyes, little curl of the nose, some of the lips, and some of the streaks of hair. So again, exposure set down to 25%. We're using the midtones for the range, and just stroke a couple times over the eyes, darken the eyebrows. And again, everything that we darken is just going to stand out that little bit more on our stained image. Okay, I'm just going to grab these streaks of hair while we're here, just to darken those, get the curl of the nose. And again, this little nostril, and then come across to this eye. Again, start on the eyebrows, go to the eyelid. Okay, that looks good. Maybe just a little bit of this area of the nose here. A little bit of our chin, some of the collar. Okay, and then we're going to work on the lips. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just zoom out a little bit. Hold space to move around. And we're just going to darken these little streaks of hair that are going over the face. Oh, just to make sure that we get them standing out on the stain. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to select our girl layer, we're going to head up to filter, and we're going to start to get rid of some of the areas that we don't need. We're going to go to filter gallery, we're going to go to artistic, select watercolor. You want brush detail set to 12, shadow intensity set to 1, texture set to 1, click on OK. And then we're going to try and refine it a little bit more and get rid of some of these grey areas. So back up to filter, head over to filter gallery again. This time we're going to use brush strokes and we're going to go for dark strokes. Balance set to 2, black intensity to 5, and white intensity to 10. And click on OK. And then I'll just zoom out. Okay, it looks pretty good. Right, next thing that we need to do after we've done that is we're going to increase the contrast. So we're going to head up to layer, new adjustment layer, and levels. And just to increase that contrast, we're going to leave that on 0. We're going to do 1.69. And And then we're going to reduce that down to 145. Brilliant. So now I've got a really strong contrast between the black and white layers, and that's going to really help with the staining process just a little bit later. Okay, next step. Select our girl layer, press Command A or Control A to select the whole of the layer, copy it, Command C, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go up to a new layer mask, and we're going to reveal all. Okay, we're going to Alt click inside the layer mask, and then Command V or Control V to paste it inside there. Okay, and then what we can do is just click back on our girl layer, like so, and let's click away. Okay. Right, brilliant. So now we have a mask that reveals all of these areas for the black area, and we can really start to bring out some of the detail and play around with all the different stuff, hiding parts of it, like the shoulder and so on. Okay. And just to, to make this this layer mask work, you've got to come back to it and click on the actual layer mask itself and press Command I on your keyboard, and that's going to invert that selection. So now we have the black areas are masking out that original part of our layer, and the white areas we can start to see through on our layer. Okay, so it should look something like that, and when we click on just a normal girl layer, nothing, not much has changed, but we're obviously going to show the changes that we've made as we start to get rid of some of this excess white area where it's a little bit too intense on our image. So make sure you select the layer mask over here. We're going to grab a soft brush. I've just got it on 50, a really soft brush, and black brush, and we're going to start painting out the white areas. You can't really see them obviously on a white background, but if we change our background color now to a deep red, okay, we can see all these really white intense areas around the eyes, shoulders and so on. But you can see it's done a really good job of masking out our shape, or roughly anyway. For this tutorial it works, it works really well. So even though I've selected bright red, for some reason it's not really red because I forgot about my layer mask that I set earlier on. So I'm just going to, for now, Alt click in between those two layers, so it's only applying that, it's clipping it to this layer, to our girl layer. Right, in fact, if I just Control Z that, I'm just going to try merging it with that layer. No, because then I'm going to lose my layer mask. So for now, I'm just going to Alt click and make sure I clip it to this layer so we do get that bright red. Back to our brush tool, clicking on our layer mask, looking at these white areas. I'm just going to start to brush them out. Okay, we're just masking these areas out. They're a little bit too intense. Okay, don't worry if we lose a little bit of the shoulder here. We just want a hint of the shoulder and a hint of the neckline. So again, increase the size of your brush to get rid of some of these bigger areas, like so. Just again up in there. Okay, be careful of the black areas around the neck and the shadow line, because obviously we want those to show up on our material as well. And this big area down the bottom right, this can all go. Okay, just take this little shoulder area out. Okay, and you might have some areas, depending on the image that you've used, up in the face as well that you don't really want to be too bright. So again, just slicing away at these. Like so. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so all we've done there is just continue the masking and got rid of those really intense white areas. So next thing to do is just going to change our background back. Let's bring that up so we can see. And we're going to set that color back to E1, D3 and BC. Click on OK. And again, this shows there's still some of these white areas down here. Oh. So again, I'm just going to quickly go back into my mask, and they're still showing up some of these areas, so just going to mask them out. like so. Okay. That looks pretty good for now. Okay, next thing we need to do is we're going to select our girl layer. We're going to reduce our fill right down to 0. And then we're going to double click on that layer and we're going to apply some layer styles. The first one we're going to apply is an inner glow. Okay, we're going to set that to normal with an opacity of 65 and 13 for the noise. We're going to set the color to be a deep red. So let's set that to 580200. We're going to leave the technique on softer, and we're going to move down to 1 for the choke, 21 for our size. We're going to change the contour to this round one down here in the bottom left, which is a half round, and we're going to set our range to 50 and jitter to 0. And then finally we're going to apply color overlay, change the color to another deeper red, 7F41, and reduce that down to 50%. And then click on OK. Right click on that layer, duplicate it. Girl copy is fine. We're going to drag that right down beneath our original layer. Right click on it and we're going to clear. I'm not sure you can see this on the screencast, but clear the layer style. Okay, and that looks pretty good. All the fills are all set there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Again, it's not quite as dark as I want because this layer here, I'm going to go back and just alt click and clip it to the layer. Okay, so earlier on, next time that you do this, you might just want to merge that layer. Unfortunately, I forgot to do that, so I'm having to clip it at the top. But you want it to look this dark, which is great. Okay, we're going to move on. The next thing that we need to do is, once we've duplicated it, we've moved it below and we've cleared all the layer styles, is start to apply our stains. And the stains that we're going to use some brushes, downloaded from a couple of the sites that are linked to on the website. So do check those out and go and download those now, and we're going to bring them straight in and start using them. And hopefully you've downloaded all of those brushes and stains, and we can start to apply them to our image. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to click on our layer mask for girl, and we're going to make sure black is set as our background color down here, and then we're going to grab a couple of brushes to play around with. So I've got my brushes open down here, and I'm going to start by looking for a brush 767. Let's have a quick scan. Hopefully it won't take me too long, although I do have quite a few brushes now, thanks to all these tutorials. So there it is. Select our brush 767. Okay, it can be nice and big, and we're just going to use this around our hair over here. Okay, so it's at 100% at the minute. Make sure you're on the layer mask, and we're just going to start to add a little bit of depth to our layers. So let me just come back a second because I'm on my eraser tool, not on my brush tool. So that wasn't very good. And again, we're quickly looking for 767. There it is. And make sure you're on your layer mask, and we're just going to click like so. There we go. And I hope that shows up on the screencast. It's just adding a darker stained area. It's bringing through that darker layer below. And again, maybe add one over here to the left, maybe a little bit at the top. Okay, it looks pretty good. And then you can change the brushes to suit you. Maybe grab some of these slightly smaller brushes and reduce them down, just coming in at the top. And also play around with the opacity, increase it, decrease it, however you want to play around with your layers. Okay, we're going to select the girl copy layer now, this one down here, and again make sure on the layer mask we're going to grab a really large brush, 1699. So let's find that. Okay, if I can find the brush. I think it might be in my top set. There we go. So 1699 is this brush here. You can see it's nice and big. And make sure your opacity is back up to 100% and 100% on the other layers. And we're just going to bring this layer in right across the top of her head, like so. And you can see by flicking between the two different layers, we're getting a little bit of depth, or where you can see that maybe the ink or the paint has bled through, or one part's dried before another, and so on. But it just creates a really, really nice effect on those layers. And again, we can do the same, but with some smaller brushes. Maybe this brush here, and reduce the opacity down to about 50%, something like that. Just bring that in from the left and the right. You just start to get a really nice effect in that hair area. We're going to create another new layer now, just below our girl copy layer. I'm going to call it Stains. Click on OK. We're going to grab another big brush. This time we're going to go for 2160 if you've got this pack. So 2160 is this layer right here. And because we're not doing a layer mask, we need to set the color for this brush. So we're going to go with B99048. Click on OK. And I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit. Okay, just to the left. And we're going to stain our image like so. And again, it just shows that stain bleeding to the left or to the right or into the image, drying at different times, and so on. But obviously, take more time with your stains, position them on your images where appropriate. I haven't done too many around the eyes, but if we zoom in, we've caught just a bit of the eye over here, and it just makes for a really nice stain pattern. And once we add our texture, it's going to look really, really great. So take time with your staining. Use all the brushes, they're all brilliant, and play around with different opacities on the different layers and different layer masks. Now we're just going to grab those two girl layers, stick them into a folder, duplicate that folder. Let's call it girl. Command E to merge that folder, and we're going to hide the other layer so we can always come back to these just in case we make a mistake as we go along. Okay, so once you've merged them together, we've got this girl layer here. We're going to erase parts of our chin along the bottom using one of our brushes. So again, we can come back to, let's grab something like 242, and using the eraser tool, we're going to start to erase parts of our chin just so it breaks up just a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit heavy at the minute. And again, because we're using the one of the stain brushes as an eraser tool, it's going to start to shine through, and it's not going to look like we've just cut an area out of our actual image. It's going to use that brush tool to really help look like when we're erasing it looks like a stain. Make sure you download all the coffee stains now, because we're going to start to add all the areas where you might have put a glass or a jug or a mug of coffee, and we're going to stick them all onto a new layer. So let's create a new layer now, and we don't really need to name it for now. And we're going to head into our coffee stain glasses, mugs or coffee stains, and we've got these down here. So the first one we're going to go for, let's just grab one of the ones where we've got two together maybe. Okay, hopefully I just want you to be able to see which one I select. So we're going to go for, just to start with, let's go for 1496, and we're going to bring this over the bottom right shoulder. So I'm just going to reduce it down in size. Okay, going to set the color. Make sure we're not on a eraser tool. Seems to be a mistake I'm making quite a lot, is leaving it on a eraser tool rather than the brush tool. And let's set the color to 411516. Okay, so it's a nice dark color. Let's bring this down. Maybe just paint like so. Okay, so we've got, let's increase the opacity. This is an area where maybe a cup has just been placed onto the material at some point, which we're going to add at the end. But it just, adds a real effect to it. We do get a lot of coffee stains, and by adding that, it kind of starts to tie everything in and bring it all together. And again, we can go back in with the eraser tool, and we can just change back to one of these, and we can just erase little bits out here, like so. Again, adding a little bit of depth. Some areas dry quicker than the others. Okay, so now we're going to add some more glass stains to the shoulder, and we're going to set these to be hard light. So let's just grab another layer. Let's grab a single cup. Let's bring that, and get it about the right size. Again, make sure you're on the brush tool. Let's go with this one here. Just stick that on. Grab my eraser tool. Like so. And then we're just going to set that to hard light. Again, just different textures. And then we're going to add some details, some water stains. So again, head up to a brush tool, and again you can click on text only, scroll right down. This time we're going to be looking for, oh mind you, I might change back, 535. 535, there you are. And nope, eraser tool again. So where was 535? There you go. Set our color to 4E3105. And again, make sure this is on a new layer. I'm just going to paste that on like so. Up at the top. And then set that to overlay. And again, I might want to just bring it just to the left and down the face. And you don't want to have too many stains on there, because it's just going to start to look like a mess. I think mine is a little bit, it's starting to look a little bit like a mess. But just take your time with it, and you'll start to get some nice effects. Like, I really like the background layer on this top bit at the top. I just think maybe I've added a few too many bits and pieces down at the bottom. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we're going to paste our image into a new layer called texture. So we need to go and grab our actual texture layer. So if I just open up what I've got, which is the image here. Okay, so we're going to copy this image and we're going to paste it into our new texture layer. So just Command A, Command C, come back in here, new layer, paste it straight in, and we'll just call it texture. We're going to duplicate this layer, so right click, duplicate the layer, and we're going to set this for a new document, and we're going to call it map. We're going to use a displacement map on this in a second. Click on OK, and inside this layer we're going to go to new adjustment layer. We're going to head down to channel mixer, click on OK. We're going to go black and white, this time with a filter of red. Leave all the settings as they are, click on OK. We're then going to go to a new layer, adjustment levels, and we're going to play around with our levels. So we're going to set these to be 60, 1 is fine, and 255 is fine. Click on OK. And then we're going to play around with some hue and saturation. So back into new adjustments, hue and saturation, click on OK again. and this time just make the lightness 25 and click on OK. Once you've done that, save it, and we should be able to close that now. Map PSD, that's fine. No, let's call that map 2 just for now. Save, click on OK. I'm going to close that image down, back to our main image. Let's close down the original. Okay, so we're going to group all of our layers except for our texture layer and our background layer together. So grab all of these, stick them into a group. Ooh, not the texture layer. Okay, so you should get something that looks like that. Into a folder, and we'll just call this the design. We're going to convert that into Smart Object. Brilliant. And we're going to set the blending mode to multiply. Okay. Then we're going to go on our design layer, we're going to go to filter, distort. Hang on a second, let's bring this texture layer underneath. There we go. You can actually see what we're doing. So on our design layer, we're going to go to filter, distort, displace, and we're going to have it displace by about 4 by 4. Click on OK. I'm going to come down to my map 2, click on open, and it just makes some slight adjustments to the folds of the actual texture itself. Then we're going to select our texture layer. We're going to head up to levels, and we're going to set them to be 0, 150 by 255. Click on OK. And that is pretty much the tutorial. You can go away and play around with some text down at the bottom down here. But, you know, when you're playing around with the textures and things like that, it's totally up to you how much you put on. I think maybe I put a little bit too much down at the bottom here. But as you can see, the folds, because of this displacement map, it really makes these stains look like they're part of the material. They kind of bend down here with the fold of the material, which is really nice. And again, over the tops of the head, the bleed looks really good. And if you zoom in, you can see the actual texture coming through everything, which is really, really nice. So it's a really brilliant tutorial and fairly straightforward and easy to follow. And I hope you got something out of the screencast and the actual tutorial itself. So I've been Gavin Steele, taking you through Alvero's Dirty Stains tutorial from our brilliant website, which is psd.tutsplus.com. Be sure to check out all of the links on the website, and I hope you come back soon.